In this video, I'm going to show you how to install plank vinyl flooring. Here's the flooring I chose. Nucor waterproof flooring. I purchased this at Floor & Decor for about $80 a box. Whisper core. Ooh, fancy. All sounds very scientific. This little convenience hole I made in the floor for the plumbers can now be closed up. And then I can start putting my flooring in. So I'm anxious to get that started, so let's go. Okay, so to close up this hole properly, I just put a 2x6 going this way. So I'm going to add another one here and another one here just to give this a good solid base. One thing you got to remember in high traffic areas, you don't want to have a squeaky floor. So always put extra screws in, extra construction adhesive just to keep this thing from moving. It's movement in a floor that causes squeaks. Let's get some cutting going here. 29.5. This is how you do it. This is how you seal up a hole properly so that you don't have any weakness in the floor. So now I'm going to screw this down to here. I'm going to screw all this into here all the way around. Okay, so what I'm going to use right now are these Deckmate 3.5 inch star drive coated screws. And I'm going to put a, right here, construction adhesive. I got this at Home Depot. It's like about 10 bucks a tube. I'm going to put that down on here. There we go. This is a good coating, so this sticks really good to the top piece. Okay. Here we go. It is glued. It's gonna be screwed. I do have a video in the description below of how I installed all the finished plywood subfloor over my existing 3/4 inch subfloor. It's all been glued and screwed, and it's important you understand how to do that so you don't have any floor squeaks. Okay, that's that. That thing came out perfect. Perfect height. Now all I gotta do is clean up in here, vacuum the floor, and I can start laying down my vinyl plank. It's really important to vacuum your floor really good before you start putting down your flooring, because depending on how thick your flooring is, if there's something under there and you don't see it and you drop that floor down and you step on it, you could cause a crack or some kind of an indentation, and that'll screw up your flooring. Okay, so here's the flooring I chose to buy right here. Nucor waterproof flooring. These boxes came in 6-foot lengths, and the thickness of this is 7.5 millimeter. And for residential, it comes with a lifetime warranty. This is the thickness right here. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. Where do I start? You gotta remember, every room has multiple walls, and you wanna make sure you're starting your straightening of your first board on a wall that's actually straight. What I came up with was starting right against the tub. I'm gonna get this piece right against the tub, cut out to fit through there on the shower wall there. From there, I can then start building out. I picked up a 9-inch plank vinyl. This is the pattern I chose. Now, it's not the same pattern on every board. Sometimes it's got a lot more gray, sometimes a lot more tan. So it's a mixture. So I had to just lay this out last night. It took me at least an hour to just find a nice pattern that I liked the way it looked. You know, one over here, one over there, mixing it all up. I changed it around probably 5 or 6 times. But then when I found it to be where I liked it the most, I put numbers on each one. So this is my number 1 piece. This is the first one that's going to go right in here to my tub area. What I got to do is just notch it in around here, notch it in around here, and that'll give you my line. First I'm going to snap a line right here. I already made a mark right here, and I made a mark right here yesterday. So I'm going to snap a line here to follow that to make sure everything stays straight. This edge here is going to go right to the blue line, and that's going to be my starter row. So now what I got to do is just scribe over my line here. This part you don't want to screw up too badly, because if you do, you're going to have a big gap. So I got to get this right underneath this tile here.
Listen up, everybody. This first piece you're putting in can be considered the foundation of your flooring installation, because this one piece will dictate how the rest of your flooring installation goes. As you can see, I'm doing multiple measurements, calculations. I'm measuring twice. I don't want to cut this wrong and waste materials, because you have to buy this by the box. You can't just go buy one piece. So take your time and think it through.
Okay, now I'm going to take this outside and grab the jigsaw. That looks really good. I don't see any chipping here.
When you have to cut out a horseshoe, you got to get a little creative here. There's two ways of doing it. You can just use the saw to actually cut out some more meat right there, which would be the width of the blade. So you can then just reposition, as I'm doing there, and then start cutting in the opposite direction. The other way of doing it is taking a drill bit and drilling holes at the corner to simply install the blade, and you'll be good to go. There you go. We're all done.
All right, let's check my cuts, man. Let's see if I did this right. Fingers crossed. This fits perfectly in here. That, I couldn't have planned any better. So the jigsaw really did the trick. This piece is now in place. I get just the right clearances that I want. This will wind up getting some caulking in between here to keep this and this surface sealed, so no water gets in there from getting it in and out of the bathtub and the shower. All right, man, so far so good. This is good news. This is exciting. No, it's an old saying. I cut this thing 40 times and it's still too short. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make my first just straight plank cut. So what you wanna do here is you wanna give yourself about a 1/2 inch off the wall. Okay, we'll go 34 7/8. I'm gonna get plank number 2 that I already labeled, which is right here. Okay, so one thing you gotta understand when you're cutting these planks, this is a factory edge, and that has a little setback under here, right here. A little lip, as that's gonna fit on that end, right there. So I'm gonna pull my measurement 34 7/8 right off of here. I'm gonna go cut this and take this piece, put it over here. Then I'm going to take this piece, which is the other end, the leftover, go down there, measure it, get my width, the correct width I'm going to need right there for that area, and then bam, that whole first row will be done. If you don't have a speed square, definitely pick one up. These are great. They fit right in your pouch if you have one, or your back pocket. So what we're going to do is kind of angle it up a bit, get that underneath, right there. Okay. Got to be real careful with this. You don't want to hit these, because you'll break them right off. But that's nice and smooth now. I already cut to length that piece, which goes in that end. I just got to figure out the width and then go rip it down. So here's a good little tip for everybody. See how I got a 2x4 screwed down to the floor right there? That's because as I'm building this out this way, I have to tap on it to connect them together just a little bit and make sure everything's nice and snug. And if I don't put that there, it's gonna push everything that way. So it's a really good, backer to keep everything in line and keep everything from sliding back and forth, which will drive you crazy. But as you can see, I got 2 rows down here. I'm going to work it in just like I did board number 1. This way here, I can stick with my 2 pieces needed per run. So I got a seam here right in the middle. I got a seam here that's going to match up with this one, which is fine with me, because there's a separation between this board. You don't want to line these up and this, one next to another. You always want to stagger your joints. Make sure these line up okay. Now I should be able to just set this one in place here. This is the tapping block. They come in different sizes. And here's the tapping hammer for this type of installation. Get a little tap. Yeah, it's nice and smooth. This looks awesome. I'm really happy I chose this board. Okay, so we're making some progress. We got 8 boards down. Got to do about 4 more, and that'll take care of this whole main section of the bathroom. Then I just got to do inside the closet and around the toilet, which is minimal. So right now it's 5 o'clock.
And it's time for a cup of motivation to keep me going.
A few more tips for you guys installing this yourself. You got to really make sure each one of these pieces has interlocked and connected properly. The snap click system they got here. You got to make sure all these seams are exactly the same width. I got fooled in this little piece right here. I noticed when I was putting in this piece, I could lift up here and it was coming out. I was like, oh shit. So then I had to pull it apart. A couple, not just one big row and one extra piece. Wasn't that hard, but I had to really work it to get it in there. For some reason, just didn't want to sit properly. So make sure all these gaps are all the same everywhere. If they're not, do not start your next row. Otherwise, you might have to take your rows off and go back to it and fix it. Just a little tip for you. Otherwise, enjoy the process. Overall, it's not bad.
As you can see, I'm making some progress here. It's a tedious, time-consuming process, but and this is my first time putting this type of flooring down. I've never done this before. So it did require some pre-planning because of the boards I chose with the different patterns on it. So you may just get a basic flooring type, which is just all one color. That's going to make things a lot easier for you. So you might not have to plan as much, but you do need some tools to do this. So I recommend getting on Amazon. I'll have a link in description to get the block kit, the tapping block kit, the spacers, and the hammer that comes with the tapping block kit. Just to make this easier. Don't use a regular hammer. It's too heavy. You'll probably damage your materials. And a rubber mallet probably work as well. So as you can see, I'm almost done here with the main floor, and I just got to cut in these top strips here and then work my way around the obstacles to get into the closet and then finish off the toilet.
Okay, now for the tricky cuts. The seam is here, which is good, and it lines up with this doorway almost exactly. So I'm going to cut a piece from that wall to here, and that'll easily get me around to that side. And I'll have to notch, a big notch to get this piece in on this side. All right, so I got my final strip in. It's a 2-inch strip. I had to rip it all down. And then coming over to the doorway, I got my piece in here. Now all I got to do is just jump into this closet here, put like 3, probably 2.5 to 3 more boards across here to finish the closet. And then behind me, we got the toilet. Just gonna take off my 2x4 and then just work backwards. How do we deal with the toilet flange? How do we get the flooring cut nice and cleanly around that? Well, one way you can do it is to grab a piece of cardboard. In this case, I'm going to use some of the flooring protection I bought at Home Depot. I want to trace this part with this metal here. And if you do it, it's going to leave a mark on there. It's going to leave you enough indentation there, and it kind of got a black mark here. Don't put this on top of your new flooring. Make sure you're on the subfloor when you cut this, otherwise you make some scratches in your new floor. So I'm just going to do this all the way around. So here we go. This is my finished template right here. It fits right over that nicely. Now I have a template that I can use to transcribe the circle onto my next piece of plank. So now we want to get our next plank cut to length, which is what I just did, and here it is here. So what I'm going to do is lay this on here and just match it up where I want it to the one before it. And I'm going to put this on the edge here, and I'm going to line it up with the edge of this circle. Now I'm going to transcribe that over to here like I already did here. And then I did the same thing here. Bam, now I got my 2 marks. Now what I'm doing is taking my tape measure from here to here, and I want to make my mark on the board from this distance, 4 3/4. So now I got my width and my depth right here. Okay, so what I'm doing now is making sure I'm dead center on the plank that I'm about to cut. Scribe this. So that should line up once I cut it out. Keep your fingers crossed. Like a glove. Look how good that came out. Nice. So there you go. That's how you do it. Take your time, draw it out, check your template, and always cut smaller because you can always cut more later if you cut it too tight. You can always make it a little bit wider. Don't go too crazy and cut it too wide too fast. Okay, so as I was saying, try not to cut too deep as I just did. I'm gonna have to cyber slap myself. Anyway, so that's what happens when you cut too deep. I just measured a little bit wrong. I think I was kind of rushing, which is exactly what I just said not to do. But it seemed easy because the first part was so easy. Oh well, it'll be fine because the toilet's gonna cover all this anyway, so no one's gonna know it unless they watch this video. Now some of you may be wondering about the gaps. Okay, well, I don't know. Recommended gap, I don't know, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. I wouldn't go any bigger than a 1/2 inch all the way around. It's just for expansion, contraction, just in case. So you know, your floor doesn't buckle on you over time. So there you go. Don't forget, baseboard's gonna cover all that. You're not gonna see any of that.
One last thing to go over is how to install the flooring reducer from one floor to the next. So I have to join my new bathroom floor to my hallway floor right where the door opening is. You could call this the threshold. So what I did was I chose to go with the color of my new floor, which was the grayer color, and I added that to this area, and here's what it looks like. There it is, the finishing touch. The reducer is in place, which connects the hallway floor to the new bathroom floor. It looks really good. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You too can do this yourself as I did. This was my first time doing this, and this came out awesome. So I know you can do it. Just go buy the plank you want and have fun. And as you can see, this came out really nice. And you can't see my screw up on the cut in the back, remember? The toilet screw up? The toilet covers everything, so don't worry about that. Please like and subscribe, everybody, and leave comments. I will respond.